can see it's blue and a hooligan. Look at Happy Harry there. His haircut. Well, we're off on the Wild West show again. Where we'll end up, we don't know yet. We've got Graham with us. Well, we've decided just to shoot off for a long weekend. We've had 2 days planned. We're stopping at a place called Arras. Arras, which is it's positioned right in the middle of what we call the poppy fields or the battlefields of the Somme of the First World War. We had organised 2 day trips. With a forecast for a bit of rain tomorrow afternoon, we decided to do the long trip today. Now the 2 trips consisted of visiting a few of the historical sites of the First World War on one day and all the Second World War sites on the second day. Now, as I said before, it's going to rain tomorrow, so we're doing the longer of the 2 visits, and we're going to do the Second World War today. Now we're just off heading towards the coast from Arras, and we're looking to find the battlements, the German battlements, defensive positions that were put in place during the Second World War. There is also supposed to be a museum there with one of the largest guns ever built, and it was mounted on a railway carriage. So we'll hopefully see that today, and we'll catch up again the closer we get to it. But today we've been quite blessed with the weather. It's nice, pleasant for this longer trip. As you can see, I took the plunge and I bought the Triumph. I bought the Tiger to go alongside the S1000XR for the reasons stated in the short video, the long video I did, the test ride comparison between the Multistrada V4S, my current S1000XR and this one here, and this really it did blow us away. I was well impressed with it that I went ahead and purchased it. We should be in a few miles just approaching the fortifications on the coast facing across the English Channel towards England. Just past a couple of the first signs of the fortifications. As you can see, it's a fantastic view over here, over the English Channel. A bit windy up on the top. That bunker, mind. Absolutely massive, and there's the gun. Some kind of bunker or something there as well. Some size, that bunker. It's It's had a couple of rounds up the back end there. It's been shot to bits. It's some size, that mate.
280 mil.
K5, that's what it is, a K5. Underground, the entrance. I wouldn't have thought, would you, this was actually how it was built, you know what I mean? This must have been where the gun was. The size of the opening. Size of the opening. Cockpit area. RAF, flying gear. There's Marcus' new bike. Right, we've just come from level 1, going down now into the bowels of this defensive position. Wait, oh, this is where the medical centre that is. Oh, it's a bit dunk.
Look at the size of that needle.
Well, that was oh, what's happened here? Root board. Access the coupe. That was the first stop on our World War II day. We're now going to pop in to see if we can get in where they do used to make and launch the V series of rockets. So we'll see what we'll find when we get there. La Coupole. There it is dead ahead. Look at the size of that bunker. Coupole. You see now, Manga?
Oh.
So this is launch, you know, the rockets, make the rockets and that. This is the tunnel leading into the innards of the dome. There's the bonny lads. The little trucks they used carrying the rubble out. Another part of the tunnel. We've just had to come out of a lift, come up from the tunnel in a lift. And we're actually in the dome, or what's left of the dome now. There's exhibition, there's a movie show just starting in 10 minutes there, which is about life under occupation, and there's another one which starts straight after 25 minutes time, which is about the secret weapons themselves, how they were made and what happened. Well, that was La Coupe, the V2 rocket launch site, and what's left of it. We've just been inside there into the dome, and the underground tunnels take you right into the heart of it. It's a fantastic place to see. Right, we're going to set off back to Arras now, and we're going to have a good night out, a couple of beers and some nice to eat tonight, because it wasn't very nice last night. I got a steak, it was like a bit of shoe leather.
We've got the balls glasses in here. Merci, monsieur. That's what I said, merci. I'm learning very slowly. Very fucking
Today, it's the second day, and we are going to do the World War I tour. It's not a very big tour, as it's nice and bright at the moment, but it is forecast for the odd shower later on this afternoon. It's only about a 67-mile round trip, I think, and it's to a lot of the war cemeteries and some of the attractions around. I'm saying attractions, military memorials around the Arras area. As you can see, the wide expanse countryside, it's just open plains. These are the fields of the Somme. The first place we're going to, the Vimy Ridge, it's where the Canadians had their defensive position taken over from the British. So that's it, we've just pulled up into Vimy. We'll get parked up and we'll see if we can go in and see. Apparently there's a lot of remains of some trenches. Remains of trenches, I think I can see them through the trees. Well, we've just had an interesting conversation with a French guy, well, an old gentleman over there. He came over and had a chat to her. We've just parked up here at Vimy, and we're waiting now to see. It doesn't open till 10 o'clock. We were going to have a walk over because through the trees there is, we've just noticed the remnants of the trenches. So we're going to have a walk through and see if we can get in. Little map here, just showing you the advances they made. November 14, which is that one. December 2017. And then the final one, November 1918. Didn't get very far really, did they? All them lives for that.
You can see even with 11 people down here and the widened tunnels, it's a bit cramped. It's not exactly the easiest to move around. And you can see this tunnel here gives you a little bit more of a sense of the original sort of width of the tunnels. Here's some of the graffiti. Does anybody have a guess as to how many soldiers would have been down here at any particular time in this length of tunnel that we've walked through? So it would have been about 3,000 soldiers.
I was going to say 500.
Yeah, so 3,000 soldiers just in this length of tunnel, and then there's 13 of these tunnels along the front and a much greater distance in length. You can imagine how cramped it feels right now. Imagine that at the time. But at this station, I want to talk a little bit about the digging of the tunnels. Does anybody know what kind of rock is in the walls around us? Sure. Chalk, yes, absolutely. Now, chalk is good to dig through because it's quite weak as a stone, but it also has its own share of problems. The digging was done by Welsh miners as part of the Royal Engineering Corps, and for every cubic meter of chalk that was removed from these tunnels, 1,600 sandbags full of chalk had to be hauled out, and that was the Canadians' job. The problem was you can't just take that chalk out to the entrance of the tunnel and dump it. You can see that the chalk is still, even after 100 years, a pretty bright color. At the time, it would have been even brighter. You take that dust out, you dump it, that little bits of stone, you dump it at the entrance to your tunnel, it's a big flag that says tunnel here. Even if you take the sandbags out, you dump the sandbags, a German reconnaissance plane could fly over, count the sandbags, and know how far you've dug. So every bit of chalk that was removed from these tunnels had to be taken out, behind the front lines, carried by hand, dumped in the pit, and covered over with mud to hide it. So in 1916, there's a ton of tunnel warfare happening here, and you have basically listening posts where people would have special posts to listen to the walls and try and hear where the enemy tunneling activity is happening. And if you detect that tunneling activity, you try to dig underneath, place a mine, and detonate the enemy tunnel. So down here on the morning, 5:30 in the morning on April 9th, 1917, the Canadian soldiers get the order to advance. They would have advanced via approximately the same exit that we're using today, exited into approximately the same place. The exit wouldn't have looked exactly the same, but they wouldn't have been going up through here. The Canadian soldiers were taught to look ahead of them and look behind them at the man and know that one of you was not coming back without death or injury. So that's how bleak the casualty rate is. That's the kind of mindset that you have to put yourself into. Coming out of the dark, the shells have been falling, and you have to run up and get ready to go over the top of the trenches in advance. So we're going to follow that advance up the staircase right now.
If you look what's slightly on the reverse side of the hill, you couldn't really see what you were supposed to be firing at. This must have been where they could stand up and look over at the German lines just over there. Here's Mickey and the forward trench lines. Look at the bloody craters. And so as you can, very ridge, yeah, Canadians, as you can see, with the flag and that, but this was the line where we just walked through the trenches, and then you've still got these blooming craters and bomb pock marks, everything, and the German lines were just over there towards the tree line. So this here is a German observation post. This observation post was made from reinforced concrete, provided much more protection than the steel loophole plates the Canadians used. Notice that the post does not directly face the nearest Canadian position. This would have been very dangerous. Instead, German observers took advantage of the view along the edge of the nearby craters to watch for activity in no man's land. Can you imagine what the advancing Canadian troops may have looked like from here on the morning of 9th of April 1917? So these in charge are the German lines. Still see the little pock crater marks and everything. But I didn't know what I never realised they were so bloody close.
Aye, very.
You're talking about 75 yards or something. Like I'm saying, I never realised that the trenches were so close to each other. These are the German ones, and with the Canadians. And you've got all the bloody bomb craters and everything here. Because you can see the German defences, they're pretty extensive, and they go quite far back into the tree line. They've put electric fences all around there. You can't go in there because there is actually still unexploded munitions in there. We're just reading a plaque at the beginning, the entrance there, saying that there was a British officer killed, a bomb disposal officer killed in early 1990. So they're still trying to clear stuff. That's why you can't go in. It's just craters just all over the place. Let's have a look down into the German trenches. As you can see, they've replaced the old sandbags with like concrete shaped bags and made it easier to walk. But the actual line and position, these trenches are actual. It's getting deeper as you get near the front. Blooming hell, it's like a maze. And there you go. Probably stepped up here and looked over, and it's just 50 metres. At its closest point. There's our obvious position. I'm not going under there. I'll lock it back out. Fantastic. Well, we've just come up here, right onto Vimy Ridge itself, just to the memorial. We're going to have a little walk over there, see what there is there. You can see the importance why they had to take this hill, this ridge. I mean, it dominates the landscape. It's a fantastic monument. Hell of a lot bigger than you think until you actually come here. We've just pulled up at Beaumont Hamel. I think it's the Newfoundland Memorial. Just going to pop over and have a look at that. It's our second stop. There's Mickey studying his notes. I'll be asking him questions later on. So the Newfoundland Memorial. Have a walk around, see what there is. This is Newfoundland. That's the old trenches, which are just starting to like weather in, aren't they? Some size that caribou. We've got all the pointers. Hunter's Cemetery, Newfoundland Memorial, 51st Edition, Beaumont Hummel, Endangered Tree. I don't know what danger tree was. It's obviously a dangerous tree somewhere. There's a bunny lads down there waiting, we're going back. So you're looking across the area, yeah, like all the craters from the artillery shells, the roots and where the trenches were. Bearing in mind, years ago this would have just been a quagmire of mud, no trees, no grass, nothing, just crater holes full of water, mud, sludge, nightmare. We're now just approaching the Ulster Tower, which is over there, and just further on here, it's a place called Thiepveld, which is a massive memorial. Cemetery there, really shame. There's Thiepveld there, you can just see the top of it over the trees. Thiepveld Memorial and Museum. The lads are knackered, look. They've only walked up the ramp. Right on my third stop now, Thiepveld. Got a mouthful of bloody Haribos. And we're just going to have a little walk down here. I think this is where it is. The Thiepveld Memorial to the Missing of the Somme, 1914-1918. And there we have it. Looks like it's all shuttered off to get renovated for some reason. And this is the view from Thiepveld. It's absolutely massive. Don't realise the size of this as well. Looking across the battlefields of the Somme. Right, we're just approaching the area of the Grand Mine, Loch Nagar crater. There we go, just over there, we'll have a look at that in a minute. Well, I've just stopped off again. Pozieres British Cemetery. We'll have a little look in here. See what's what. Nice little entranceway. Come in, it's like a nice secluded, it's got walls all the way around. Age 21, 26. We're at the final place, which is the Tank Regiment Memorial. Clank clank, I'm a tank. Near this spot, the first tanks used in war went in action on the 15th of September 1916. This monument was erected to the memory of officers, warrant officers, non-commissioned officers and men of the Tank Corps who fell in action in the years 1916, 17 and 18 during the Great War. The windmill. Well, this is our final stop in this little tranquil place. Diavel or Devil Wood or something it's called. These are all the British soldiers here, and in the far distance there is the South African Memorial. Delville Wood. South African Memorial down there, and to our right is the British war graves. And that concludes our World War I little tour around the fields of the Somme. We're just going to head back now towards the hotel, get ourselves sorted and out for the last night tonight before we set off for for Amsterdam, to get the North Sea ferry back to Port of Tyne, just outside Newcastle, then back home. Lovely, lovely. Well, I can honestly say we've been blessed with the weather up to now. Fingers crossed that it keeps off, but the sky seems to be clearing, and we've avoided most of the rain clouds. What I found very interesting on the Tiger is that just under this plastic bit, you can get the strap, and it sits in where the seat locates into, and it just goes across the top of the frame. I've done this, and I think many other bikes will probably be similar sort of thing, because I hate it when the straps go across the actual seat and it compresses the foam of the seat. But it just fits nicely there on the new 1200 Triumph Tiger. Well, this is the final hurdle. This is where the fun starts, where they're trying to strap the bags on. Just unhitching the straps now, just ready to head off. That's been another enjoyable little trip, just a 3-night away in northern France. So until about 3 weeks time, we're going on another little jaunt down to the Picos for 5 days, then on to the Pyrenees. That video predominantly will be about the Pyrenees, because there's a couple of videos already on the channel which shows extensive routes that we've taken around the Picos. So we're looking forward to that one. Just say it'll take place about 3 weeks, back end of June, back end of this month. So until then, that's us signing off for another trip.